What happened in Redfall is my fault. I think it used to be a nice town. When I first got here, I thought I could help. They said one drop of my blood could change everything. Free people from sickness, maybe from death. A world where nobody was left out. Cups overflowing, rivers of living water. I was a fool. They were monsters.
Redfall seems to be one of those titles where you either are on one side or the other, rather than looking at the game objectively. There seems to be a lot of critics who already formed their opinions before they even played the final game, and a lot of fans, or not even fans, unless they're fans of Arcane Studios, who of course made the Dishonored games, as well as Deathloop, which some of the elements from Deathloop are used in Redfall. So I don't know, maybe a lot of people missed out on that game and just or ignored it completely, and the only thing they ever played was Dishonored 1, and they have no idea how Arcane Studios has been operating for the past decade. But Redfall is not that bad. Honestly, I didn't know what to expect. I have seen some of the clips in that. I watched the IGN terrible gameplay representation of Redfall. I mean, the person essentially was not the right person to have played this game. They were skittish. They didn't want to engage in any combat and essentially just stood back most of the time, so you didn't really get to see what this game was about. However, when you start up Redfall, you essentially are picking between 4 character classes, which essentially can be summed up as your tank class, your hunter class, your range class, and your support class. One of the things that I didn't know until I had read it in one of the reviews is that the host essentially creates the game, and the 3 other players, or however many players join into that host game, they don't actually progress through the campaign or the story. Only the host does. Now, you do get to keep the loot that you do find, but I do find that quite annoying. I hated it in the original Dead Island game. It was something that just irritated me. Me and my friend would argue about who gets to host the game, because one of us wants to beat the game and the other one, well, they want to beat it as well, but they want to be able to continue it offline if they wanted to. Overall, Redfall does a fantastic job of really creating the atmosphere that you want in a game like this. I really started to get kind of flashbacks to when I first played Left 4 Dead and fucking with the witch and listening to the crying and seeing, oh, what's over there, and poking her and watching her just annihilate you and your team. It felt like that in this game, where you saw the vampire teeth at the top left corner of your screen, and you just knew a vampire was nearby, but you don't want to fuck with it because it takes a lot of ammo to defeat the vampires. Although it's not overly difficult, the game is pretty easy on the combat. We did play on normal, essentially, and how we were doing headshots left and right, not only with the pistol, and it felt like Halo 1 Combat Evolved type of range with the pistol, but the sniper rifle also feels the same way. But I do like the feel of them. I love Far Cry games, and that's kind of what I also got from this, was a looter shooter similar to a Far Cry experience. Although Far Cry, of course, has better stories, this game doesn't seem like to have the greatest story. But again, this is a game that it just feels like a Left 4 Dead style type of game, and I don't have an issue with that. Just right off the beginning, the game puts you on a boat, and you just see like an ocean or a cyclone of water just all surrounding you, and it's a really cool sight to see. The music and the voices that you hear throughout the game, and even when you first get to your first save house, which is the firehouse in this game, and the people are barricaded in behind a door upstairs, they tell you there's a vampire in the basement, and your objective is to go down there and kill that vampire. And staking the vampires feels really, really good. And just doing a lot of exploring, and the simple objectives that we did encounter so far, where we essentially, one of them was just finding 2 plane crash sites and heading towards there, and the other one was killing the vampire in the basement. So we didn't really get into this game as much as we really wanted to. But the hour and a half, the first impression that we did get off this game, we had a lot of fun. And honestly, I could see myself playing this game with my friends and just have, a chill experience and just having a good time. I don't know, maybe it's just me and how I'm seeing things, but it seems to be this weird over-entitled gaming generation that's really just getting on my nerves. God of War Ragnarok is something, and I will stand by this until the day I die. God of War Ragnarok is an expansion. It is not as great as people make it out to be. Now, the God of War game that came out on the PlayStation 4, which I believe was back in maybe 2016 or something, I absolutely loved. I loved the new direction God of War took, but Ragnarok was an expansion, and people praised that game and put it on a pedestal and gave it 9.5s, perfect scores, said it should have been Game of the Year over Elden Ring, which is insane. It just irritates me when people already form their opinion before ever playing a game, and they can never be swayed away from that opinion that's already been formed, because nobody, it seems like, can just admit that they're wrong about something, or at least play and experience something to say, no, I'm doubling down on that opinion because this and this and this, and have legitimate reasons. To bitch and complain because you didn't see full motion cutscenes in a video game, and rather artistically they chose to do still frames, which they did in Deathloop. Again, I'm just bringing up Deathloop because it seems like people don't really know what Arcane Studios actually made. But it just irritates me because to nitpick and sit there and find the smallest things to really diminish a game in its value and the fun factor of a game, it just seems like a bunch of children bitching and complaining about nonsense. Jedi Survivor playing on PlayStation 5 is one of those games that I absolutely love, and I'm having a blast with it. But it was broken on PC. Luckily, they released a patch, and it seems like most things are fixed at this point. But there's certain things I can say about Redfall that just aren't really cool, or really good, which is the hosting, and maybe the story is kind of lacking. But I just wanted a game that was similar to Left 4 Dead, that created an atmosphere that I could play with my friends, and I got that. And if you don't want to pay the $70 for Redfall, you can just get the trial of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and get the 30-day trial and try out Redfall for free. My first impression score of Redfall is going to be a light 4 out of 5. There are some things that just kind of irk me about the game, but I definitely think it's worth trying, worth picking up, worth playing, at least on Game Pass. And now I'm going to hand it off to my brother Rocky so he can give you his opinion on Redfall.
Why, thank you, Jason. So, okay, Redfall. What do I have to say about this game? Well, going in, I really thought it was probably going to be pretty bad considering all of the negative press that the game has got, but I was definitely holding out a little bit of hope. And when I got into this game, I was definitely pleasantly surprised. I really didn't know anything about it, and going in, it really feels like a Far Cry game mixed with like a Left 4 Dead kind of atmosphere. I was hopeful that this game would have kind of a story mode and whatnot, and it does. It is not like a just map game where you go in, you take a specific map, and you defend yourself. It does have a large area that you go around and you explore in order to complete missions for your group, as well as find new things and murder some cultists as well as vampires. Here's the thing: if you don't like games like Far Cry or games like this, where it's basically a pretty similar set of missions that you continue to go and play throughout, where you take down camps and find various items, then this game is definitely not for you. However, if you do like the Far Cry style of gaming, then this definitely is going to be up your alley. Now, the one thing that I will say is we are in first impressions, of course, for this video, so we did not get insanely far into the story. However, we were already gripped enough to want to continue. It's definitely quite fun going between the couple enemy types that we've experienced so far, the vampires and the cultists, and having to figure out the easiest way to take them down, as well as going and looting various different things. It definitely is a looter and shooter type game, and you do get a lot of loot throughout. However, there aren't really any complaints that I can give if this is the type of game you're looking for. I think that, of course, like the missions can be a bit repetitive. I think that maybe the enemies could be a bit more varied in their move sets and the way that you kill them, but when it comes to the vampires, you definitely do have quite a large way of attacking them. So first of all, there are various different items scattered throughout the map that are highlighted in red when you look at them. Those various different things can be shot or exploded in order to catch the vampires on fire and kill them. There's also incendiary grenades, and you can also just simply shoot the vampires and, take them down that way, or you have a flare gun that can catch them on fire. Also, on top of that, you do have to stake the vampires through the heart if you do not kill them with fire, and it definitely adds a little bit of challenge, making it so that you do have to worry about the vampires coming back, and also you do, of course, have to worry about the day-night cycle. Now, I think the day-night cycle is one of my biggest complaints here because it does feel quite long, and on top of that, there isn't a resting capability. There's no bed for you to sleep in or anything like that, and that makes it a little bit tedious when you're trying to wait out the night. However, I can understand why they did this, considering the fact the entire game is about the vampires and they probably wanted you to engage with those. Another thing that I find a little annoying is that the cultists do not get attacked by the vampires. Now, I do understand that they worship the vampires probably, and this is why they don't get attacked, at least that's my guess. However, I feel like it's a little unfair when I'm being hunted down by 3 or 4 cultists and then a fucking vampire shows up. However, I also would say that's one of its finest qualities. The constant of fear of what's going to be coming around the corner next is definitely alive and well in Redfall, and on top of that, vampires, whenever you come into their vicinity, and even if you don't know where they are, you can usually hear them whispering creepy shit about how they want to eat you or suck on your blood. Another thing that I find a little strange is the fact that you do have a mission room that you go into in this hideout that you set up, and essentially it starts off, actually let me back up a little bit, it starts off with you on this boat. You come out because a vampire kind of attacks you but then lets you live for some reason, saying that she wants you to live.
You can't walk away from me. No one can. You all belong to us. The others want you dead, but I want you here.
And then you find yourself on this boat with a giant wave that's stuck in it's suspended in air, which is really fucking awesome looking. And then you have to make your way into the city. You then come across a firehouse that you can then take back and release the civilians that ended up getting trapped inside. Those civilians then become the group that you work with. You set up shop in this firefighter house, or firehouse rather, and then you go ahead and you start your missions from there. I think that this is a little strange, considering you do have to go all the way back each time in order to get a new mission, or you can go to the safe house, which I don't know if there's more than one safe house. However, this is a pretty big map and there isn't any mount at all. So getting from point A to point B does take a good bit of time and can be frustrating when you have to run all the way back to your safe house or to the firehouse in order to start a new mission. Also, considering it is open world, I feel like having more missions scattered throughout the world would make sense, but I do understand that having NPCs spread throughout is a little difficult, considering the town is taken over by these cultists and vampires. We really didn't experience any issues with the at least performance of the game. People kept complaining that it doesn't go above 30 FPS. However, honestly, this is not a pro game. Nobody's out there doing tournaments of it, so the 30 FPS FPS does just fine. I haven't noticed any real lag spikes, and on top of that, it plays well enough, and this isn't a game that has some sort of parrying system in it. It is simply a shoot 'em up and a loot 'em up, and I don't understand why people were freaking out about this to begin with. Outside of that, the fucking reviews of this game are so extremely insane and fucking stupid that I don't understand if these people even played the game. I don't know what they were expecting, and if they were expecting a totally different game, that's kind of on them. I went back and I saw the trailers, and I definitely think that the trailers didn't really show anything or misconstrue what the game was going to be. I can understand if like maybe this type of game isn't your type of game because you don't like these Far Cry types of things where you go through, clear camps, get loot, etc. But there's plenty of people who do like these types of games. Now, again, I think maybe if the missions get way too repetitive as it goes on, or if the story doesn't really ever go anywhere and it's kind of just these side mission type things, that would be kind of shitty, and my score will definitely go down. However, at the moment, it's definitely setting up something, considering we were let to live, they let us live from these vampires and whatnot for some reason, and it looked like it was like a head vampire or something. So, yeah, at the end of the day, everything so far, I've enjoyed quite a bit. The guns feel really solid. Everything is pretty, creepy for the atmosphere-wise. And again, having the vampires whisper really creepy shit the second you come into their area.
I don't know what you're missing. Hello? Anyone about?
Definitely adds to the atmosphere. So I'm going to give this right now a 3.25 out of 4. I'm really fucking enjoying it. I think it's pretty solid. It could drop down to a 3 or even a little bit lower if the missions do continue to get repetitive. However, I am expecting the missions to mostly be, hey, go here, shoot these people up, or go here, get this thing. I don't really expect much variation from that, so I don't think I'm going to be really disappointed there. Alright guys, anyway, let me pass this back off to Jason so he can finish this out.
Alright, thank you so much, Rocky, and now we want to hear from you. Have you played Redfall? Did you already form your opinion about this game before even playing it? And maybe our review, sways you into at least trying the game. Let us know in the comments down below. Also down below in the description, you'll find the links to me and my brother Rocky's all other socials, as well as a link to our main channel, Smokin Sessions, where we do movie reviews, movie watch-alongs, and a lot of other fun content that we're sure you'll enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on videos like this from us in the future. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching and or listening to this video, and we will see you all in the next gaming session.
This out of my head to the depths of the universe. It's a spell or a chance just to open up a newer curse.
I came to Redfall to sell some books, meet some fans. Then, I heard about odd happenings, so I thought I would perhaps look into the local cryptid scene. Instead, I'm running from actual bloody vampires. Elongated maxillary incisors, hemophagic diet, photophobia, the whole deal.